with this. I don't know what it is, but I did a voice test on an app. Seems to be okay recording. So hopefully I'm all good this third go around. Anyways, like I was saying earlier, I'm going to have an online store with a video series of product. Basically, it's going to summarize all my AI efforts. It's going to include basically a C++ low latency, ultra low latency bot. And it's not going to have any real market data connection or any order capability, but it'll be demonstrating it. There's going to be 3 programs in there. There's going to be a JavaScript app to showcase backtesting of various strategies. There's also going to be one for thank you for the like. There's also going to be the usual Streamlit Python backtesting with various strategies, all ultra low latency. These are for Bitcoin, and that's the usual Streamlit apps that I've demoed for many months now. The other is the critical one is the C++ ultra low latency coding. It's a full-on app, and the only thing, as I said earlier, it doesn't have any market connection to any market. The primary reasons for Rhythmic terms of service on the API, on their API, and same with the orders as well. But it's very ultra low latency. So in there, as part of that, includes PDFs on quant strategies for Bitcoin at the moment. So there's gonna be some data files included there. 3 separate CSVs for Friday. Includes tick data, which was live market data on Friday, January 1st, I think, or 2nd. It also includes hourly and minute data as well. So it's going to be pretty good. Okay, thank you, CNN Ask, for letting me know. So welcome on the third go-around effort. So I'm going to have these files with videos. It's over 2 hours of walkthrough, very low latency performance. It will be up to it says 2 million transactions per second. So that leads into what I'm saying here. There's true ultra low latency. This one that was used as a sample was market making, chosen because that's what everybody wants when it comes to high frequency trading. It's pretty good actually, and it works with, should theoretically work with Binance or CME. CME is better because it's regulated now. And the cool thing about it, as I said, it can do 2 million transactions per second, as it says, which is pretty impressive. And what it's using, it's just pure math. To get that kind of performance is pure math. The techniques are very intelligent because it's using Claude 4.5 to generate the code. Everything in it is generated by Claude, and Claude now 4.5 is just getting so much hype now. It's crazy. It pretty well owns the AI space, specifically in the coding space. So everything with this has been generated with Claude, and even I'm impressed with it. With the PDF, you want to learn about market making, specifically for Bitcoin. This is you get it. This is no questions asked. It's gonna be very affordable, but it demonstrates a window of data in it's 2 30-bit byte packets in 1 byte. It's kind of intelligently implemented, but I won't go too much into it, but it's pretty impressive. Monday, Gudu Anthony, thank you for your response. The market these days reduced by 2.52%, I guess. Yeah, I'll go over questions and answers, and give me 2 minutes. Right now with, I blink too, we all do. The HFT stuff blinks faster than I blink. I know I like to blink, it's probably, whatever. Anyways, the performance on this thing, as I said, is over 1 million transactions per second. What gives it the performance is alone how the math works in terms of how the data's stored and how the data is used, and then it's processed very quickly. and it's using can't remember the name of the. It's a popular market making formula with a OBI enhancer. There's about 4 layers in this. I can't get into it. It's just too much has been going on today setting this thing up for delivery. But if you want to learn coding, this is the thing to get. I'll make this available if you're on my website at quantlabsnet.com. Just join, and I'll make a big announcement, hopefully tomorrow or on Thursday. Yeah, so it's going to be a totally separate website from that. I'm trying to still link up the course that you'll be able to get it right within YouTube and my channel, and when I'm doing these lives, so that's the reason why I'm doing it. But this is going to be basically a culmination of everything I've been doing for C++, Python, AI-generated coding. But I still think that the best AI LLM out there is not Claude 4.5. Like, it's amazing. They just brought out a new lighter version of 4.5 today, I believe. And I believe it's the Haiku, which is the lightest. There's Sonnet, Opus, and Haiku. Opus is the most advanced, and this thing is doing amazing. Hello, hi, how are you? Okay, so if you guys got any comments or stuff, I'll do my best to answer anything C++ or HFT related. But it's the performance on this thing is really impressive. And as I said, it includes a Python dashboard for your back testing. Includes, I put in there as a surprise JavaScript as well. I sent it to a few people. They're very impressed by it. They're very picky on what it looks like. And the other thing is there's PDFs in there. There's 2 separate PDFs for kind of like a research paper. One just for general suggested models that you can use for high frequency trading. Many of them unknown, and the other one is purely for market making. Monday, Guru, send me your channel below. I need to join on Thursday. The best thing is to do is to join my, to subscribe to my YouTube channel, but that really won't help. I don't think YouTube will send you a notification. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. The best way is to join my website at quantlabsnet.com. quantlabsnet.com. So that's the best way. JDI, how are you? Do you have an opinion about using dark pools for algo trading? I see that Interactive Brokers gives the functionality to route orders to dark pools. I didn't know that. It must be brand new. If you have the ability to do that, yeah, because you're able to hide your orders through that. But to be truthful, I don't know if that's a marketing gimmick, because as I said before, when it comes to Interactive Brokers, what they do is they have dedicated network pipelines, essentially, because, as I said, Interactive Brokers has 2 data centers, one in Switzerland and one in New Jersey, and they're directly connected into something like CME. So I don't know what asset classes those dark pools are for, if they're for futures or options. Anyways, those are your best approaches. But again, if you're doing equity, I don't know, it could be a marketing gimmick. I haven't received any notification on from Interactive Brokers on that. But part of the thing is with the model that I've built, or the AI built for what I'm talking about, it will detect aggressive selling. It will also have a way to find spoofing as well, because there's techniques you can use on the bid and ask spread, apparently, and that's what the AI said. So there is a blurb on that. In terms of dark pools, take advantage of it. You can hide your orders. I think the CME's probably, or the regulators are going to do something about it. I've never heard of QuantView, LBJ, HTG, H65, blah, blah, blah. I don't know QuantView. I don't know. There's so many third-party solutions out there. I'm now at the, hello. I'm at the point now where I don't recommend books anymore. I don't recommend any third-party stuff. The AI is just so sophisticated. You're better off to use the AI and join a community of real traders. As an example, I just joined a WhatsApp group and they call me ABC. That's good. I just joined a WhatsApp group, and there's real smart traders on there, and it makes a big difference, a huge difference on the quality of people that you interact with. These are real traders, real portfolio managers that have really good tips. So I'm part of that WhatsApp group as well. Big difference. So you want to be part of that among using AI. And the funny thing is, all these people are using Claude as well. They're using everything I'm suggesting. They're using Claude 4.5 for coding, and so on. Oh, we got another one. Oh, I should point out we get our usual troll alert. So, I've done some shorts, got caught up last week in the last one. So they always say don't feed the trolls. So we just ignore them. And I think that's one of the reasons why YouTube no longer posts the comments on the live streams because of it. So you can say what you want. It doesn't go beyond this. So anyways, I don't know QuantView. There's so many other educational things out there. I'm not going to name names, but I think with AI, they're going to become less relevant unless they showcase how to really perform using generated code from AI. For the last 6 months, all my coding has pretty well been beefed up. Well, has been mostly generated by AI. It's the hand coding, manual coding days are coming to an end because of AI. With things like Claude, it's just too good. It does a lot more. Anybody else got some questions here? The entertainment will be there for whoever likes it, but it doesn't stop. I should be getting moderators for this, but that's okay. Right now, as I said, I'm taking questions and comments you might have. So Frank, Lynn, we'll just say that. I'm a student in college. How do you fund the resource to execute low latency trader or ever build one for a bot? The best approach is, as I said before, to start, like right now, people are building bots with options for stock and crypto retail spot trading. There's also retail forex trading. If you're going to do real low latency, high frequency trading, you want to focus on futures and options. What you need to do is set up a futures account, and then you fund it through what they call a FCM, and then that's kind of like the regulars, all regulated through the CME and the CFTC in the US. And you can fund it as low as $1,500 US, so you could start out with just basic futures, and then you get rhythmic data for $40 a month, and then that's the cheapest way to do it, or the most affordable way. And then just focus on something like futures and start out with there. You can trade crypto and Ethereum, and just focus on the micros, and you could probably do a couple of trades a day, a week, in an affordable way. But the thing is that with that, you can scale it up, and that's the best way that I've seen. So let me get this from IMK Kaza. You were successful in trading the form and just finished my first FX. What should I expect from it? I have no idea. I don't know what's in the forex. It could be a moving average cross for all I know. You could probably do pretty good and generate your golden cross and death crosses. So I have no idea what's in it. So that's a hard question to answer. But the true high frequency trading is done through pretty well the CME and all the other related exchanges that you get access to globally, like the ICE, the Eurex, the SGX, and all the major ones. And that's probably the best venue. That's kind of the only venue to do high frequency trading in, like real high frequency trading. Binance is another good one, but there's a lot of manipulation going on there now. I just don't trust anything coming out of Binance anymore. Coinbase is getting pretty good now. I should say this, I don't like Coinbase, but if you want to practice crypto trading, Coinbase might be another easier way to get into it with futures trading. And then you can build bots from that. That's pretty well the best ones I suggest, and so on and so forth. So if you got any other questions, type away. I'm here, man. That's why I do these things. So love the troll comments. It's awesome. I just whatever, dude. But HFT is retail trading. But HFT as retail NQ is not legal. Not understanding that, like NQ the symbol, that would be NASDAQ on the futures market. So that's totally legal. And that's one of the major symbols out there for NASDAQ. The bigger ones the hotter ones are Dow Jones Industrial, DJI, the Dow Jones Industrial, and the SPY, SP or SP 500. They do really good. So Franklin asked, why Rhythmic? Why not CME feed or Dado Bento? Well, Rhythmic is attached to CME. Everyone asks Dado Bento. Dado Bento is highly priced, and you have no order execution with it. I noticed a trend of shifting to medium frequency trade due to the expenses that comes with HFT. What do you think? I think if you go with Rhythmic and even the API on Rhythmic, it's still cheaper than anything else you can get. I know IK Feed, you pay a couple $100 just to get the license on the annual basis. That's for your algorithm, your APIs, whatever you choose. And then you still have to spend another $100, $140 for the same fee that you get with Rhythmic. And yet that doesn't enable your orders. Whereas with Rhythmic, for the same cost, you get ordering as well. So it's a big deal. You were successful in the Forex market. No, I don't really like Forex. I've done crypto. When crypto was going crazy and I was trading on Binance virtually in November, I think it was 2017 when it was 20,000 and it went up to 60,000. I wrote a little HFT bot. Virtually, within 4 months, it went over to $2 million. That's my real success, if you want to call it that. And it just worked on Binance, and it just traded Ethereum and Bitcoin. It did really good. But that's because of the huge upward momentum with Bitcoin. But if you were trading gold and silver in the last few months, you probably would have gotten the same performance on the CME. No doubt about it. I mean, if you look at the silver, it's just been a straight up line. But there's some caveats to it, is that if there's any form of news that will kill off the demand for silver, it will crash. But gold is a different story because there's no counterparty risk with it, and it's considered money. Are dark pools useful if you're trading a small size? It depends what you consider small size and what kind of dark pool and what you're being charged to use a dark pool. I know the CME, if you're proprietary, trading direct market access on the CME, you will pay a lot of money for dark pool. So if you're starting small size, obviously you're going to lose money right out of the gate. But the dark pools, I think, are kind of the question of dark pools are meaningless unless you have probably $500,000, $1 million in an account, because those dark pools are not going to really do anything for you. They're not going to protect you from anything. The HFT shops will still be able to trade against you, do all their spoofing and front running, regardless of who you are. So those dark pools will not really protect you. That's why I put up this new thing I'm putting out. Part of the algorithms in there does calculations to gauge if there's an aggressive number of participants on the order book. So it does kind of give you a calculation on that. Also, there's similar ways you could, through algorithms, looking at tick data to be able to see if there's front running involved as well. There's a couple of PDFs on that. So you can kind of protect, I won't say protect yourself, but you'll be able to be aware using some algos to be able to see if there's any level of high frequency trading spoofing going on within the order book. So that can be done. So I don't know if dark pools trading through them will really help you, but all I can give you a better answer from a retail perspective or a mom and pop type of account, smaller account, is just being aware if the particular instrument that you're trading has spoofers and the HFT crowd, usually it will. Anything that has a lot of liquidity and volume will have HFTs, so it just comes with the territory, unfortunately. I wish I could give you a better answer, but my example course or whatever will have all that explained via algorithms. If you like, part of that, I'll be giving sample data, and one of them's tick data. It's over, is it 10,000 or 100,000 tick samples over 2 days with Bitcoin, and there's a whole C++ coding, and one of the algorithms is built around that. So that's the best way to protect yourself, specifically if you have a small account. So if you wanted to trade on dark pools in the futures market on CME, you'd probably be looking at about 5 to 10,000 a month to get access to those dark pools. And the only other way to do that is to trade through another provider like a JP Morgan that has that. But you know, you're going to have a few $1 million in the account to get access to what JP Morgan provides. Because when you go on to CME and you look for FCMs, like the Futures Commission merchants, JPM's in there, and part of their service, I believe, I can't confirm this, but I believe if you go through like a JP Morgan, they will give you access to dark pools, but you got to pay, and you got to have a big account. So that's the real dark pools. But on the other hand, somebody just said interactive brokers. I have no idea on that. I'd be curious to find out about that, to be truthful. If you guys got any other questions, let me know. We're doing pretty good so far. I appreciate all the coming out for this. Hopefully the trolling will die off. So as I said, you can, through algorithms, be able to detect aggressive participants because they're there, and I don't think you can avoid them. And there's the nice thing about these particular models, they will give you a rating. For instance, with Bitcoin, there's enough of volume in there. You know, here's the problem with technical analysis and fundamental analysis with Bitcoin is if you are just trading like a Bitcoin bro, you're gonna, I won't say I'll just leave it at this. You'll be wasting your money. Because if you see the drops in Bitcoin, you could deploy that same capital into performing assets like at the same time as silver and gold. You would have made a mint if you took that same capital that you had tied up in gold or silver and moved it into gold and silver while Bitcoin drops. It's just, that's not the way to trade. And I don't know what to tell you there, but that's just the way it goes, I guess. Let me know if you got other questions. I do this every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. I might do some formal ones later in the year via Zoom, but I'll be able to stream on YouTube as well. But the C++, right as it stands, is the dominant language to know. Part of the PDFs did mention the Rust is kind of coming up as well. So the IB Dark Pools is available for stocks and ETFs. Yeah, so I don't know if that's going to help you. I don't know. Like, there are HFT shops that will trade ETFs and stock, but a lot of the executions for options and futures. So they only use ETFs, and stock is for pretty well arbitrage and hedging. That's it. But a lot of their heavy volume of trading is done through options mostly. Do you have any algo trading on stock? I have some courses like with TradingView. Might be a little old, but I do have some TradingView stuff. I have an old legacy Python stuff that would work. So I do have that at the quantlabsnet.com. And yeah, I do have that. Do you see modern C++ features widely used in the industry, or still very C with classes oriented for performance? That's a good question, Brian. Like your name too. The thing is that with what was generated over the last couple of months with C++, this one I'm going to put up is using C++20. The tricks is with any of these versions of C++, the compiler, it doesn't seem to take advantage of any of the kind of fancy features of C++20. Part of the goal is to keep the coding small and high performant. So if you got access to what I'm putting out, one of the key lessons there is I'm not using any third-party dependencies. So it's purely only dependent upon the standard template library. And the other thing, when it comes to the modeling, I purposely had the AI generate the algorithms for me. And as I said, with Claude 4.5, it somehow said you put in high-frequency trading, and it knows right away to make those algorithms that's going to develop from scratch highly performant. So one of the classes that I built was fast math utilities. That's one of the classes built in there. So it's purposely built for high frequency trading from Claude. The thing is, with all these fancy features, I cannot think if there's any performant enhancements with like lambdas. There are some, I believe there's some lambdas in the examples that I showed, but usually you want to keep the code simple and have it as minimal as possible for performance reasons. So it's hard to say if the modern is going to help you, but it depends upon the features as well. So I'm no real expert in that. I'm just giving you my view from what I'm seeing. So Savashanka Manderpan, sorry about that. I'm a C++ developer with 20 plus years of experience. I can get into an algo trading developer role. What other skills do I need for HFT and C++ to how to gain those experience to break in those roles? I will tell you, you got to be more than just a C++ coder now, especially I'm getting numbers from probably a couple thousand people applying for these roles. You got to be really good at math. You got to be probably showcasing some form of trading experience. The only way to really gain that, as I said in the past, is to really learn something like what I put together, and then be able to use something like that, put yourself on GitHub and get a track record trading using the things that these firms are looking for. That's the best way. But a lot of people are starting to do that now. So the competition is very fierce, but you also have to have your PhD for in a real high Ivy League school firm. From what I'm seeing, you got to have the ability from some Ivy League school at a PhD level, because there's so many people applying for these jobs. So it's tough, unfortunately. From Brian again, I came from an EDA background, very similar data-intensive application. I started coding an engine, but stay away from STL, as STL unordered map isn't very fast. Fair enough, but as I said, I'm using the AI Claude 4.5 Claude Opus to choose that in STL. From what I'm seeing, it's just using vector, but a lot of it's kind of like, I originally had ASIO, but I haven't really dug into the code a lot to really know what it's using, but a lot of it's got to do with just the algos themselves that make it more performant. But the coding is about 1,700 lines in the C++, so I have to really go through the details of that, but I'm more focused on the algo, and that's, as I said, for market making as well. So as far as I know, some of the tips are STL is used, not used a lot, but quite honestly, a lot of the big firms have developed their own homegrown libraries, I guess you could call it, specifically for HFT. So part of the AI results that I'm seeing is that it's also blending in coding into the FPGA boards as well. So it's using the enhancements of what FPGA can give you. Again, I have to really dig into that to really confirm that. Right now, I have tested or asked an AI to give me is an FPGA board better for this kind of stuff, or C++ and only C++. And it said C++ is the way to do it, because part of the techniques used for better performing is you have these hot caches. You can do this underpinning dedicated to a architecture, and then you can have the compiler dedicate certain performance or strategies or functionality to particular processors, and you can isolate them as well. So there's all these unique techniques to really enhance the performance on the on this thing. Excuse me for asking, but why are your strategies based on HFT? That's from Thomas Anderson. The reason I'm doing HFT is because it's the highest paying career path for a lot of people. That's number one. Number two, it's the most lucrative if you get it right. I've tested a lot of the AI, and it's probably the quickest path. A lot of the models that I've seen can give you quite a high win ratio. This one with a market making, it targets at least a 55% win ratio, which is pretty damn good. It could be as high as 67% if you look at the modeling. It calculates the selling pressure from the spread on the order book, and you can only get that type of trading via something like HFT, or wrapping your head around the mindset of HFT. We're staying away from technical analysis and fundamental analysis, essentially, but that's why. So Brian asks again, yeah, that's what I would have thought. Containers, math, algos, memory management would be in-house libraries. Yeah, that's correct. But if you look at the coding, if you get it, once I make it available, it will kind of shock you how it's done. And there's two separate versions of the code walkthrough I've done, again, generated by AI. There's a PDF that goes into great detail on it, but then I also did a slide deck, like a PowerPoint with an HTML presentation. That's been the best because you see the modeling and how the algorithm associates with the coding snippet that's shown. It's very unique, and it's only 2 days old, and it's a unique way of seeing how it's coded up. To me, it's a lot better than I originally thought it would be, because it really is a convenient way to understand how and reverse engineer how a lot of these market making algos are developed for high frequency trading. Savashanka again, will C++ last to be the languages for these rules? I see few iterations from US trying to decommission C++ due to the safety concerns. Yeah, that's why there's a new, I think it's C++ 26, they've addressed that with a new version. Like when the White House set those policies that would have been a year and a half ago in the summer of 24. The Standard Council for C++ got underway right away to address those concerns. So they've also said that C would go away. That was in the early 90s, mid 90s, and C is still heavily used. C++ will be around for a long time, especially when it comes to these from the high frequency trading shops. They're not going to throw away their code bases to replace something else. Look at Linux, the kernel. It's still C, C++, and they're kind of rolling Rust in there. But I don't think a lot of these firms will just throw away their code base. And with that one guy from Microsoft saying that all the C++ will be replaced by Rust, there was official blog posts from Microsoft saying they're not doing that. So, but in terms of safety, that's been somewhat addressed in the new version. So it depends upon if you're using unmanaged code or managed code. From what I'm seeing in this C++ I've got, it's hard to say because there's no comment on if it's managed or unmanaged, but it just depends upon how you architect it, really. So Brian asks, so is the strategy baked into the engine, or do you have some kind of plug-in model? This particular demo that I've developed, this is self-contained. It's one file. I explained that, and the reason I do that, it's about 1,700 lines. Let me put it this way in a general term. When it comes to AI and building out a fully like system with multiple object-oriented related files, I'm going to be honest with you. AI will fail. Even Claude will fail at that. If you keep this is just my experience, okay, and I'm sure there's probably other people saying it. It really comes down to prompting. But what I find is if you keep the coding all in one file, and it's kind of like this monolithic file, and you keep it as simple as you can, AI will be great at debugging it, identifying anything in it, and it's just the way to go. And it's not that really complicated. I find it is more complication when you roll out and try to use object-oriented programming to apply it to it with all the classes and multiple classes. It really, all those classes are internal in the program, in I'm always saying script, but in the application, it's just easier for the AI to maintain it when it comes to debugging. So hopefully I'll answer that. So yeah, so also yeah, so all of the underpinning, all of the dedicated thread management, all of it's self-contained in one file. And it's using G++, so there's no separate compilation process and then a link process. It's all done in one step, really. And then you just have the initial standard compile process, and then if you want to apply the link, all the performance with the switches that the G++ gives you, you can use those. The PDF does mention that. Also, if you want to take advantage of the Linux environment to enhance the deployment for better performance, there's a bunch of things you turn off from the Linux, so that will help reduce the jitteriness on the OS. So I'm not sure if that'll answer your question there. Yeah, so everything's all self-contained, to be honest, Brian, right now. Yeah, so it's, let me put it this way as well. I would like to, at some point, get a rig and get a FPGA board and get a dev studio for it. But that's a big investment to test with, just to get the FPGA coding working, burn it onto a board. Just for testing purposes. This year, I don't know if you know, but I'm going to be traveling a lot, so I won't be able to dedicate hardware for that because I'll be always on the go. If I can do it through a cloud option, I will look into that, but so far I haven't seen any cloud solutions that provide FPGA. I know there's a few from AMD where AMD is really pushing cloud hardware, so I haven't yet seen anything dedicated to FPGA via the cloud. Once I can get that, then definitely I'll be good to go on that, because that's really the true FPGA, high-frequency trading coding. So Thomas Anderson, what are your thoughts on expert advisors created for MetaTrader? Can an algo really be profitable on a platform like MetaTrader? It depends on the broker. I like if you're trying to tie in the term high-frequency trading with MetaTrader, that's a no-go. That's just all marketing gimmicks. But in terms of profitability through MetaTrader, depends on your broker, because a lot of the brokers are, as we know, corrupt. So the only maybe cleanest is Oanda, but because they do their own market making, they control their own matching pricing engine. They control it all, so I don't know how they queue up the trades, let alone they do have their own market making departments, so they may trade against you. Nobody knows. That's why I'm not a big fan of them, because they're not heavily as regulated as you think they would be. That's that. But I may one day put something HFT with MetaTrader together because, I don't know, there's a demand for it. So if it's a good reference stream for me, I'll gladly do it. But I'll educate some of the crowd on that as well. So Brian asks, sorry, I just jumped online. Hope I'm not, no, you're not hogging anything, man. I'm queuing up all the questions and ignoring the entertainment, as I call it, the comedic entertainment. I'm hoping, I'm hogging the time. No, okay, started an engine with GPT 5.2, but I'm directing the structure into a very modular design. Is a Linux a standard distro? First of all, I do struggle with ChatGPT Codex 5.2. I think I'm also using Pro and Max. The coding quality is like nothing. I would always encourage, if you're doing this, you want to use, as I said, probably 5 times already tonight alone, the Claude 4.5 Opus. That's kind of the only legit way you can develop or generate code, period, is with the Claude. I'm not seeing it with Gemini 3. You can get some simplified coding, but if you want to enhance it, you feed it to the Opus 4.5. So that's all I can say on that. I wish I could give you a better. Oh, in terms of the Windows, again, it depends what you're trading on. If you're just going through interactive brokers, you could do it with Windows, Mac, or Linux. I don't think it'll make much difference. If you're trying to do crypto, same. But if you're doing the Rhythmic, the only options you really have is C# and C++ for the Rhythmic API. That's for features and options. So if you're going to go down that path, initially I did .NET with C#, and it works great. And I just last week finished the capabilities to get it working with C++, and then that's a whole nother world of difficulty. It just depends on what your end goal is. If you let me know, I can answer you specifically. Sven Shap, sorry, will this live session be recorded and be available for later? Yes, that's how YouTube does it. So yeah, it will be available on YouTube under my live tab. So yeah, it depends how long this thing is. It takes maybe an hour for it to render, and then it's publicly available. So regarding MetaTrader, I don't know. I might do an HFT something or other just for fun and mimic it through maybe an Oanda, but it's just such a demand for it. It's crazy. But the problem is, if I can do it and educate people, just tell them, like, this is not the way. Maybe. I don't know. Thomas asks, what are your thoughts on fractality in the market? That is, do these patterns repeat themselves over and over really exist? Again, that depends upon the asset class, but a lot of it is dependent upon basically the term exogenous events in the markets. So let's say with the Maduro event, there was supposed to be an expectation on oil to spike. Never happened. So that's usually right now what's driving the markets, but there is a randomness now to it. It's more random walk, but if you want to know how to get around that, that's why you kind of want to follow the path that I have with the market making, because it doesn't matter what the market conditions are. It will trade on the downside or do the long or the short for you. I'm not a big fan of shorting, but the algorithms that it uses is quite intelligent, so you are able to protect yourself on the downside. It is coded for that, so that's probably the better way to go about automated trading, I would think. That's the best way. Now, in terms of fractality, I would consider that the same as volatility. It depends upon your annual volatility rate and what you're trading. Let's say if you're trading Forex, it's awesome, has very low volatility, but you need to know what's trending from a retail Forex point of view or from a currency point of view. But if you're just stuck with a big six, a lot of them are going down, but people don't know. If you're trading in the futures market, you'd have access to the Mexican peso, and that's doing quite well because there's not a lot out there to invest, but the Mexican peso is doing quite well. So you're moving from Forex to currencies in the futures and options market. Again, that's the best I can recommend for that. And then when there's lower volatility or trends with lower volatility, that's the way to go. So the fractality has a problem where it can have a lot of slippage, and that's a concern as well. That's why I like doing the options, because you can calculate implied volatility, measuring the backtesting volatility, and there's other techniques you can use to reduce and predict the volatility with something like market maker. But there's other techniques as well. It just depends upon the market conditions. So there's that. So JDI asks, when you give Claude data to develop strategies, do you want to prompt it a few times to get what you want? No. The really neat thing about Claude, I think it's pretty well one of the only, it's a more sophisticated LLM that you can provide data to it. So let's say if you get access to tick data, you can ask it to say, give me all the potential high frequency trading strategies just alone from the code. It's pretty incredible. But what you got to be aware of when you do that, you can't use that same algorithm throughout the rest of an eternity, because the data changes. As what I'm learning from this WhatsApp group, you gotta be always conscious that it's data first is going to drive how you're trading and what you're trading. So you got to know what's trending and build out screeners. Again, it depends on what asset class that you're in. But again, that's why I like futures and options. I could go on about that, but there's really no hard set answer to that. But Claude, I would encourage anyone doing any form of vibe coding, any form of anything coming to code generation, just use Claude and only Claude. That's it. I don't know what more I could say on that. I thought you used Python with Rhythmic. It didn't work out. No, Ingrid, welcome. I didn't use Python. I only use, like, when it comes to accessing directly with the Rhythmic, if you're new to coding, I can only recommend C# and .NET. It's the easiest to work with, because with the API usage with Python, it's difficult because you're using, I can't remember what it was a Google, I can't remember, a blob, something or other. And to work with those is very difficult in Python. And I think Rhythmic does that on purpose. It's the same thing with what Interactive Brokers does when they have the Python API. I would recommend only to go with .NET if you're new to it, because Python is difficult to work with the API, with the Rhythmic API, the Python or the web version. Not a fan of it. I didn't touch it, even though I like Python and I use Python dashboards for backtesting and researching the optimal strategies. Yes, Python's great for that. But when it comes to execution and Rhythmic, the only two real valid ones is .NET, C# or C++. So that's the best way. So Brian asks, so I'm a C++ software architect. I interviewed at a trading shop and started coding an engine based upon my high-performance C++ experience as a learning experience and based what they told me they need. Here's another one. Thank you. Appreciate it. So when it comes to, like, I don't know your situation, what your particular question was from the HFT shop or from, if it's a trading shop. Usually, from what I'm seeing for a career, like I said last week, I was able to get followers from both BlackRock and State Street. So what I would do is now to become a tastemaker on LinkedIn using infographics and then documenting very sophisticated things that may get the attention of these folks. And these are like senior directors, these are senior asset managers, and then if you can, reach out to them via the premium option on LinkedIn and establish a conversation with them, see what they want, see what they need. Because that's kind of related to what you're asking about, Brian. Because you said an engine based upon my high performance C++ experience. But what they told me they need. So that's what I'm referring to. If you can somehow use the infographics on your LinkedIn feed to get the attention of these folks, and they're pretty cool, I will admit. So Brian asks, it was Linux related. They're working with options and FPGAs. Again, that's what I've been saying all the time. Most of these firms will mostly use options and futures as well. They will use ETF sometimes if they're doing hedging or arbitrage, and then they combine and or C++, C, and or FPGA as well. Like, each firm's different. Like, I believe if you go onto YouTube and you look at C++, there's some architects from Optiver, and they explain how they implement FPGA. It's a network of FPGA, but they're also somehow implementing that combined with the C++. I don't know if there's any more recent videos on that, but when you go to the what's it called, the DEF CON, and there's another one as well. A lot of those talks, they will have somebody from the HFT related field, and they'll explain how their architecture works. So that's a better way to understand how those firms work. Now, for example, Jane Street, which is one of the highest paying, they use Haskell, even though they say on their job descriptions that there's Python and whatnot. So it's kind of confusing with how they implement things. But if you go onto YouTube and look on DEF CON, you'll find, I think there's DEF CON and another conference for C++ developers. They are industry experts that come in and present their architecture. And I think the reason they do that is because they want to get a network or a feedback from the community of really good developers. And another example is the NSA want top-notch coders, so they do presentations as well. Like the NSA goes to these conferences as well. So it just goes to show you that if you if you watch those videos to see what the trading firms are doing, usually that will showcase what they're doing. But some of it will, I think, be outdated, to be honest. Electronic CHAPO. Oh, I see. Ryan says, grifty grifter doing the grifting thing. Just use Wealth Simple. Man, as I said last week, there's dumb money and smart money. The dumb money falls into the Robinhood crowd, and the Wealth Simple, he's out of Canada. They sell their order flow to the trading shops that we're talking about. They just mimic and manipulate those orders, and over time, within milliseconds, nanoseconds, they're already trading against you. They're using those trades, and everyone complains I'm losing money. Well, that's why. So I don't know. It's nothing to do with grifty grifter. It's just somebody unknown that doesn't know how the overall retail trading space works. So and again, if you don't understand that, just watch some of the Congress sessions, the ones that hauled in Ken Griffin and the CEO, that Vlad guy from Robinhood. They fully explain how that works. Here he goes. So trolls are out there. That's great. Appreciate you being here. So if you got any of these comments or questions, let me know. I'll be gladly to answer them. Yeah, so C++, I think, is going to be around for a while. I don't think a lot of these trading firms are going to throw away their code, especially if they have a lot of their in-house libraries. There are some firms that will use third-party, but what I'm seeing now, let me explain this. I did put a post about Rhythmic. I wanted to know who's using Rhythmic that the AI would know. The thing is that a lot of back in the day, the only option a lot of these firms had was Rhythmic. So all of the firms were using Rhythmic. That's why it's secret stuff. That's why even me, I can't share the API code from Rhythmic because of the competitive nature with these big firms. But the trend that I've been seeing over the years is that a lot of the firms, some trading desks will still continue to use Rhythmic. But a lot of them have moved off of Rhythmic because they're building out their own hardware infrastructure. Even Citadel still, certain assets that they trade use Rhythmic, from what the AI told me. But because they've built out some very, very sophisticated hardware, specifically their microwave network, yeah, that's the reason why they're moving off of Rhythmic, because they're able to build out their own infrastructure, and then they just slap it into the Aurora data center. So, they just get the pipe to the pricing engine from CME, let's say, and then they just plug it into their servers, and then they have their way to access not just the pricing engine from CME, and then they can probably get higher priority on the queuing for the execution, and then they'll get also higher proprietary feeds, like a dark pool feed from maybe like a CME. And I know there's some third party that will provide that through direct market access through the CME Aurora. It's all in my private group that I've got, and it's all there to highlight that. Let's see, any other questions? I know, let me just see this withheld. Oh, so I have an inappropriate message. I appreciate that, even though I won't take a look at it, but YouTube, the moderator, will prevent that from being seen. Anyone else got any questions? Last week was very bad for trolls, not so bad today. So what does the chain look like at high level? What does your engine need to connect to a hot loop? Again, I haven't really studied the code in detail, but from what I'm understanding at the architecture, if you get in touch with me, Brian, I can probably give you some of the PDFs to highlight what it does exactly. But from what I'm seeing, it will dedicate the threading, and then there's different allocation of memory for the hot looping, and then that's dynamically set through a switch on the execution when you execute the strategy. So there is the cold loop, hot loop, and all that. I haven't really gone into full detail with that. It's going to be my biggest steps over the next couple of weeks, is to really reverse engineer these things, including the algorithms. I've been focused on the last few months to actually get it to a point where it's runnable. You know what I mean? And now I'm at a point where I'm going to tweak it, play with it, reverse engineer it. I just want to get it to a runnable state, and I'm past that now. So, as I said, I'll be digging deep into it. But if you want to get in touch, let me know. I will gladly send over the PDF if you want. Thomas says, are you familiar with synthetic indices? Trading synthetic indices is very popular in Latin America. Thomas, to be honest, I'd be kind of concerned about things like that when it's synthetic. It could be no different than a CFD or these now new tokenized stocks on Robinhood, as an example. They're not the real McCoy. I'd only trade the real McCoy because, again, it's not regulated by the big time regulators to ensure that they're legit, and that the broker or the exchange can have their own form of manipulating the price direction on those, because it's not going through a regulated exchange like the CME or the New York Stock Exchange. That's my concern about that. But part of my course for the futures and options, there are things like synthetic options that are virtual. So you can do that, and that's through hedging and arbitrage techniques. So Brian asked, sorry, I didn't mean the circular buffers internally. I mean the APIs like CME or Rhythmic you need to fully plug to start trading. Yeah, so essentially how the hose to access the API via Rhythmic. It's one thing with the futures, and it's a totally different thing with options. So again, it depends upon what you're trying to trade, because you're dealing with order book, and there's a lot of things you can do on the order book with the API. But if you're just trading straight up Futures is a lot easier, but mostly pricing action will take place on the order book. So, yeah, some of the looping you control, or sorry, your buffering you control as well. It's too early for me to give you a specific answer on that. But I think my next project I'll do for myself and myself only, unfortunately, because it's Rhythmic code enabled. Yeah, I'm going to be testing for that and see how it works on the order book. One of my projects that I developed was using Rhythmic with the order book and the bid and ask spreads. So again, I'd have to like tear down the code to see exactly how it works. But there are a lot of the ring buffer lock-free techniques used in this market making. But as I said before, there's no integration with Rhythmic on that. And again, I keep saying I can't do that because I can't share the Rhythmic API code at all. That's a big no-no. So Cap Odai, you kind of look like Pablo Escobar. I appreciate that. I just hope I don't have any border problems. But I don't know. Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about my hair sponsor for my shampoo and all that because I look so beautiful, and I appreciate that. So again, if you guys got questions or comments, I know we're getting people coming in and out. I know how the behavior of YouTube works with these live streams. And then once it runs out of questions, then I just bonk out and end the streams. So keep them coming. Okay, Aaron Matos. Hey, I haven't seen you for a while. Oh man, what's with these people saying that? I don't know, Aaron. The trolling last week was pretty bad, and last two streams are pretty bad. Yeah, I think it had to do with Christmas, them sitting by themselves in the basement. Probably haven't seen sunlight in how many months or years maybe, and they're just sitting there drinking by themselves and smoking dope or whatever, and being bored and just being, high quality people on YouTube. Brian asks, so do you receive the events from somewhere externally and the engine manager risk? Oh, I see what you're saying. Strategy, execution. Yeah, you have to manage your own, exactly what said, the risk, strategy, and execution. So that's nothing to do with the Rhythmic API. You have to code that up yourself. But that is, with the latest project I got that I'm releasing in the next few days, that entails all of that's entailed in this project. But as I said, it's not connected to Rhythmic at all. But the whole purpose of it is just to demonstrate the capabilities and how to do the algo development with the low latency C++ coding techniques. There's a lot of ways you can do the C++ coding for like lock-free ring buffers and all that. Again, I have to look at it. There's underpinning. Let me see here. There's a whole set of PDFs on that, and a lot of the algos on the trading side and the bid and ask, the spread, it minimizes a lot. I didn't code it. The AI did. It's kind of interesting and kind of intelligent how it coded it up. Yeah. Oh, I see. Price info event. There are price info events on the API, specifically if you're watching the order book, where you do get triggering for both info event, like for pricing, but for the modeling and triggering the actual orders, you can get access to notifications on the API, but in terms of the conditions, basically your model or strategy, you have to develop that yourself. I hope that answers your question, Brian. I really do. So Ingrid Fields asked, you said the Chinese ILMs were giving up good trading info. Yes, they are. DeepSeek 3, I'm supposed to be on the level of latest Opus. Did you determine Opus was the best for coding? Yes, there's a two-step process for you, Ingrid. What I'm finding, if you even using DeepSeek or Quen, and you just upload data, it can give you a lot of the strategy techniques from the data itself. And then what you do is you take that output and you can feed that back into Opus 4.5 and ask it to code up the equivalent of what strategy it is. It's very capable to do that. So that's the flow. Use a Chinese AI LLM to develop the quant strategies, and then take that output with the algos that's shown and the actual equations, and then use that output and then feed it back into something like code and just say, code it up in whatever language, be it C++ as well. So yeah, that's the easy way to do that. Oh, thank you, Capardoy. Just point them out, old Hefe. Brian, yeah, thanks. That aligns with what I thought. Just want to make sure if there were more proprietary things like Rhythmic you need to plug in as well. Yeah, so there's a couple. It depends. It sounds like you're an experienced C++ developer, obviously, Brian. But generally, a lot of the futures traders, there's different paths that futures traders come in. It's through either prop shops or other people like me doing futures trading on my own. So I'm with EdgeClear. A lot of what they'll do, you can get Quant Tower, or sorry, not Quant Tower, but let's say if you went with AMP Futures, they can give you a free license to Quant Tower. So now you have all your infrastructure there through the trading platform. The only thing you gotta pay for is the data, and it's going to be either CQG or Rhythmic. And the data, most future brokers will probably recommend Rhythmic. But what I'm talking about, there's the API on top of that as well. Obviously, retail traders will not go to the API level because they'll do all their coding and strategy development through like a MotoWave or a Quant Tower. With EdgeClear, they're using a white labeled stripped down version of MotoWave, which is Java, and Quant Tower is C#. So those are the two popular options that I'm seeing. But I'm just doing the API itself. So everything I'm doing is 100% pure code. Like there's no platform involved. I work with a couple of platforms and I'm finding that they can be okay, but they're highly restricted. But if you're not that sophisticated, just use the platform and the software development kit from the platform. That's fine too. So I'm not sure if that's helping you out, but that's another option I could recommend to start. But in terms of career, it's the API and options as the asset class, and usually C++ being the standard for execution and production code for live trading. Appreciate all the likes. I do. So if you guys got any other questions or comments, let me know. Appreciate you guys here. The big surprise is with this course, I'm going to make it available through the live streams and everything else. So yeah, so I'm kind of excited to be able to do that with these live streams. If it's good, I'll be doing more live streams, not just Tuesdays. I've learned people are doing live streams every day. So it's kind of like a telethon. Say, hey, if you want to donate, buy, blah, 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 you know what I'm saying. Anyways, if you got questions or comments, let me know. Aaron. Aaron's great at questions as well. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm building an automated futures pipeline, TradingView Signals, Ubuntu VPS Risk Desk. Let me just see, dead UPE, rolling gains, daily locks, kill switching cooldowns, 24/7 Windows VPS running. Interesting. But are you just purely using TradingView? Is the question. Okay, so here we got NinjaTrader via Rhythmic, Lilo, with automatic front month rollover mapping from BTC1. What would you change first to reduce drawdown breach risk without materially reducing returns? That is covered right now in this new thing I'm putting out with the market making, with Rhythmic. So that's already addressed in this. What I can say about the algos themselves, when it comes to this high frequency trading development, strategy development for algos, there's usually a layered approach to it. So you'll have the core model for market making. I can't remember the name. I know it's Andrew. It's two Russians. Stoikov's the last one. Market making for equation, and then on top of that, there's some extra parameters used, like a Kalman filter and OBI balancer. So it will layer and protect and minimize any drawdowns potential. So the one it came up with, this is the nice stats. I'm not gonna brag. This is the AI came up with this, again, the Opus 4.5. It aims to give you 55% win ratio with projected max drawdown. Are you ready? Max drawdown at only 4%. So it's excellent. And the techniques is just purely in the math. And the probably for you unknown math modeling, but the AI reveals it. And that's the projected drawdown. It's like negligible. So I've seen some other ones with options as high as 90% win ratio, and like max drawdown no more than 10% over a year with the data I provided. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. -4% max drawdown. Some of the other AI results probably. Well, I should also mention here. This is very important. The modeling combined with this market making C++, the beautiful thing also, it sets a target with a Sharpe ratio annually. I hope you're sitting down on this one. Sharpe ratio of minimum of 3. So that's pretty good. That's the target, and it's pretty good like for Bitcoin. And regardless of what the Bitcoin condition is, yeah, that's why I'm putting this out there, because I want to showcase the potential of this with the AI, what it can do. So you're getting a Sharpe ratio of 3, which is really good. You are also getting a max drawdown of 4. And I believe from the trading view world with a profit factor of 1.8, which is pretty strong. Anything over 2 with trading view is really good. So it's pretty close to getting the ideal for trading view. A good trade profit factor 1.5 is pretty good. So that whole model has it. So Brian asks, Kalman filters to smooth out the signals and particular time frame. Yes, the time frame for this is just tick data. Yeah, because you can do that on Rhythmic. You can trade tick. The whole exchange or the whole thing is meant for tick. But to play it safe, you may want to go 1 minute or go 100 millisecond. But you could in practice, you should be able to do it in tick. But the Kalman filters, you said, Brian, will help smooth it out to minimize that risk. But it's not using Kalman filter. It's I can't remember specifically. I don't have it in front of me. But there's an OBI imbalancer or something like that. Like the thing is, when you run these strategies and ask for the strategies with something like Claude or one of the Chinese advanced ones, it will give you strategy techniques you've never heard of. And they do come from the HFT shops, a particular version I'm using. Everyone wants to know about, but that's my trading edge. Because if I said that, everybody would be doing what I'm doing. So, anyways, but I keep it in this stuff affordable for now. You guys got questions, I got answers. I love doing these, just by the way. I mean, minus the trolls, as you can tell, they're being reduced. They're being totally ignored. They look like morons when they're part of these things. So you're back testing. No, I'm not back testing with TradingView, Brian. All I'm saying is as I said, I'm using the AI to do the back testing for me. When you get access to the description of this thing, you'll see I'm using Python Streamlit to showcase the different strategies. And out of that, I do a forecast at the same time to measure, based upon real data, what will be the best strategy to go with. And the only reference I'm making with TradingView is this particular market making is to try to get 1.8 profit factor. And when it comes to strategies on TradingView, they want you to have minimum 1.5 for the strategy if you use a strategy code with PineScript, but they prefer you to get 2.0. That makes sense. I think that's the great thing about Rhythmic, the high frequency price features. I think, Aaron, for what you're paying, like I'm paying 145 US with data and the execution US a month, I don't think you can get anything cheaper than that. It's expensive, yes, but it's giving you full access to CME on the Rhythmic. The only difference is to get the direct market access, you pay big bucks for that, large dollars, and you have to have a big boy account to get onto that API. Most people don't. I've been doing this for years. The highest, let me put this, the highest I've seen coming through my pipeline outside of the institutional people, it's about 150K. You're still nowhere close to the requirement for the API for the direct market access via Rhythmic. So that's how big of an account you need, beyond 150K. I'm just dropping hints here, of course. So Ingrid's got, if I understand you correctly, you're not live algo trading yet. I guess you'll deploy to the cloud. My first deployment was to render just retail SPY trading. Other thoughts on cloud services? Where I'm at right now is I'm on the verge of actually putting out a live trading strategy. The question is, what am I going to trade? I've got so many options right now, and I just don't know what. I would love to trade Bitcoin, but because it's so volatile, I don't know. It's hard for me to decide, but I do have everything in place now. It's just a matter of turning it on, really. I want to do the client server strategy, get that working. I just finished up the C++ one on Friday, so I want to pick which strategy I want and try it out. And hopefully that trend will continue for a while. So once I get that in place, yeah, I'll be live trading. Now, in terms of trading on the cloud, that depends upon what you define in cloud. When it comes to, let's say, the FPGA stuff, I'm referring to cloud. If there's an option out there, and I keep mentioning the provider, which is very good, VULTR, Vultr, VULTR. They've been heavily funded from AMD with a bunch of GPU equivalent boards for Vultr via cloud. AMD also, I don't know which FPGA provider they own, if it's Alteryx or the other one, Xilinx, but AMD owns one of those. And they're don't know if they're deployable on cloud or not, but I'd test that if that is possible. Now, in terms of other options for cloud for trading, you can use a VPS, depending upon what you're trading. You could use, the beautiful thing about TradingView is built around cloud. So you can set up trading strategies for cloud and use TradingView for cloud if that's the option you're going through there. If you're using MotorWave, they do have a cloud option there. If you're using Interactive Brokers, what I would do is, well, there's two ways. If you're using the API from Interactive Brokers, depending upon your language, you can have the whole environment set up through a virtual private server. Many providers provide that with Speedy servers, I think it's called for that. So there's many different ways to provide cloud. As I said, I'm traveling hopefully this year a lot, so I'm going to have to use something with cloud, most likely with Vultr. But right now I'm just focusing, getting the thing running off my desktop. And then once I get that, I can move it into Vultr as well. Yeah, until I get there, we'll see. But the thing with Rhythmic, if you're using the Rhythmic Trader Pro, the software, you have to have it for Windows. So I'll have to use Windows Server, deployable in the cloud. And that's why I like Vultr, because they do have that as an option. Various versions of Windows Server. So just depends on which one I go with. So Thomas says, are artificial neural networks well integrated into trading? I think they are. Just depends upon what you're trading and what strategies you're trading. When I developed this particular market making, it did give me some options to extend it using both neural network and reinforcement learning as well. So if I went down that path, I could probably do that, but I kept it as simple as possible. Because once you start adding like machine learning principles to your trading. It complicates it even more. But I'm not nowhere close to that. It's just straight up pure algorithm and math. There's no machine learning. Now, with machine learning, in terms of creating self-adapting trading column bots that adapt on the fly using machine learning, I'm very interested in that as well through an MCP server or an RAG application. So I'm interested in that aspect of machine learning as well. But neural networks, hard to say because I haven't really played with it, to be honest. Do I know stray kids? I know stray cats. They've been on tour last year. So that's for Varza, again, Clesian, blah, blah, blah. I have seen people make strategies on these future prop firms. Many of them use Rhythmic. Yeah, because a lot of, like Apex uses Rhythmic, so they're pretty well, Rhythmic owns that space. So they get data at a low cost plus, yeah, funded account and platform APIs allowing algos. Yeah, I do believe you can get a discounted rate with AMP futures. I pay 45, but I think because of the volume that AMP brings in for Rhythmic, they get a much cheaper rate. But when it comes to the API stuff, that's why I didn't go with AMP. I'm not saying Edge Clear is better, but they're just more personable because you're always going to be dealing with Rhythmic anyways in the support. So if you want to get the cheaper rate, yeah, maybe go with AMP, but the support won't be as good as what I'm getting with Edge Clear, just as a note. But a lot of the prop shops are using the Rhythmic, a lot of prop shops, probably all of them. CQG is very expensive. And let me give you an example. If I'm paying $100 a month for API access with Rhythmic, my broker said, you don't want to go with CQG. Why? It's $500 a month, so it's not worth it. Yeah, so let's see here. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, Aaron, regarding Rhythmic and prop firms. Look, prop firms, from what I'm seeing, are just a pure scam. I'm not going to name them, but when you're making money, it's apparently a virtual account or something. I don't know, but it's dicey with these prop firms. I don't know if they're the real deal. If I was to go that route, what I would do is just start small, either with a platform or it depends, what you're trying to trade, what you're starting with, and your programming level. If you're absolutely like zero in everything, what I'd recommend is just go with a crypto account, and Kraken maybe is the best one. And if you get access to their API, do that, or get a platform that plugs into Kraken and use the SDK from the platform. So Quant Tower, I believe. I know for sure you can do that with MotiveWave as well. So Brian asks, what's the reason for the client-server separation in your design via just a standalone application running on Linux? That's two questions there. The first one, why not Linux? As I said, with Rhythmic, it's the same principle as interactive brokers. You have something called the Trader Workstation or the TWS with interactive brokers. So you're going to log into that through your API into TWS. Rhythmic has the same approach where you have the Rhythmic Trader Pro software and you log into it to access it. The only version it runs on is Windows. So that's that question. Originally, I thought also with Rhythmic, you could have multiple connections into Rhythmic, and lo and behold, it's only one connection. So if you have a platform connected into Rhythmic, you have an API also trying to connect into the Rhythmic, only one. So as a result, if I have multiple strategies on the go, which I thought you could build a strategy for a particular instrument and then have it connect directly into Rhythmic and then have a second strategy in the Rhythmic, you can't do that. So you have to use a client server where you have this equivalent of a gateway server into the Rhythmic API and then you have your multiple client strategies into the gateway server. So it's kind of like traditional one-to-one relationship between the gateway server and with the Rhythmic API, and then with the client strategies from the server, you have one-to-many. So each client with a strategy can connect into the server. I only discovered this 2 weeks ago. So I initially did it with C#, and then I thought, oh, it's great, it works. And then it took me almost a week to convert all that to C++. As I said, I just finished that on Friday. That's why there's been this long delay getting live trading, because I wanted to get to that point where I wanted to use C++ using this client server methodology. So I kind of got it working. I just wish I could get it sooner. So that hopefully answers your question, Brian. Brian asks, yeah, just so you know, Brian, you're number one now of all the contributors. I'm going to soon give away stuff for this. Okay, so you could run Rhythmic on Windows and run your execution engine on Windows subsystem for Linux. No, everything's got to be through Linux. I tried that with Interactive Brokers. On the same machine and communicate via localhost. You could. I'm going to be truthful. You're just better to keep everything in Windows, the host, not use the WSL, because it complicates the coding between the WSL and the host when you connect into this is either with Interactive Brokers TWS or with Rhythmic Trader, which is Windows only. So it just makes more sense just to keep it all on Windows and not go through the WSL. I only keep the Python and all that for analytical purposes and prototyping, but when it comes to live code, you keep everything within Windows. So C++ is fine, whatever IDE you use, and then connect into the Rhythmic Trader Pro, Rhythmic Trader Pro, the software from Rhythmic. That makes sense. Okay. Haha, thanks. Yeah, it's kind of complicated because I really thought when I first got Rhythmic that you could have multiple connections into your Rhythmic. No, only one. And I thought, man, that sucks. So then I thought, okay, what happens if I have multiple client strategies? I can only have one running at the same time. So therefore I had to do this client server approach for multiple client strategies into the gateway of Rhythmic. So I kind of got it working. I got to do a lot of testing, and when you're trading live money on that, and that goes hairy, like when it comes to things going bad, you'll lose money. So I still got to test all that fun stuff. Yeah, so it doesn't matter if it's C#, .NET, or C++. That's the way to do it. Now, I will say this. Can you have multiple strategies into Rhythmic? You can, but you have to go with the higher end with the diamond cutter. If you're going to go direct market access with the CME as an example, but they're going to charge you X amount of dollars per machine or per whatever, per connection, basically per month. And it's not cheap. Not cheap at all. Per month, per machine, or per connection. Yeah, it's. I wish there was a better option. Limitless asks, genuine question, if you worked in quant and made shit ton of money, why do this YouTube channel? That's a standard question that a lot of these people ask, and you can get a standard answer because I love doing it. I do now. So people know, I'll be honest, I just raised my value on my Quant Leap membership now. If you want to check it out, I'll tell you, it's $10,000 now per year. If you caught into that membership at disgusting little rate, congratulations. That's where I'm at. So all of this, what I'm doing now is just a form of marketing to bring in the big boys, or the big firms to pay that. So this is just one marketing technique to do it, and it gets attention. So that's another way why I do it. But I do like talking to people like everybody and try to help them out wherever I can in a affordable way. I mean, it's just part of spreading the karma, right? I mean, let's face it. I don't have to be on here if I got everything running. But, I like talking to people and helping people out, to be honest. But that's the standard question. So Brian asked, but you could have a plug-in model in your engine for strategies, right, and swap them in and out. Yeah, you could. It's just a matter of when you say swap in and out, it's just turning them on or off. I could do that. And that's kind of how it's designed already. Because that's the thing when it comes to, I really think in trading now, the way things are going, you will need to react to the markets very quickly now, because the volatility is very severe. And as the national debt grows specifically for the US, I'm going to be honest with you, I think it's going to bring in a lot of unpredictable volatility. So when you see trends, they may not, like the market regime's not going to last very long. May last for a couple of days, maybe a week at most. So we will get to a point where we need to see the trend. Traditionally, most people will confirm the trend and then trade it. I don't think that's going to happen as much. It's more like you see the trend and they start trading right away. So that's why you need to leverage the AI and build a workflow to be able to come up with some strategy very quickly and have it live trading very quickly. I think we will enter into that era because the volatility will go crazy and unpredictable. That's all I could say there. I noticed people can take away the likes. I remember last week we had the trolls. I started calling them out, and I started losing likes. It was kind of funny. These are good questions. I like doing this. I really do. This is fun stuff because if you saw my last stream, it's 3 hours. I think a good chunk of my streams are 3 hours because I like doing it. I could be like, why would I sit here doing this? I'm not selling anything. I'm just mentioning stuff, but I'm not directly selling. That might change next week, but we'll see. So Brian asks, one of the reasons I asked is because a team of AI traders who work in Python asked me about making an engine in C++ that they could plug Python strategies into. You could do that, but I don't know what their goal is. If they're trying to be, let's say, high-frequency trading, there's nothing wrong with the technique. So I started focusing on the C++ and leave the strats to them. You could do that. Yeah, you could do that. But again, it depends upon your trading venue. If you're going to go down the path of Rhythmic, you definitely can do that. I mean, I could do that and build a whole business model out of that. The reason I don't do it is because of regulatory and just, I don't want to deal with regulatory. I just want less government, not more government to deal with. So I focus more on the educational and sort of consulting when it comes along. But in terms of answering your question, you could do that. But again, I don't know what their end goal in terms of what they're trading, and I don't know what your trading venue is, and the speed that they want to trade at. Yeah, so that makes sense. It's very feasible to do that, to build out like a trading engine and then have a Python script or client connect into it with the trading a client approach for that. It's fine. Hey, my man, I'm a big fan. I have a question. Would you? Oh, that's funny. Beautiful. I don't know yet. I don't get it, but whatever. I thought that was pretty. Anyways, limitless. And so I'm new to trading and nearly landed FPGA role at Boorball Trading, but just missed any tips for FPGA. Are they useful in trading companies? More and more, it depends. The high frequency trading shops definitely have infrastructure for FPGA. It depends upon the firm. As I said, Optiver's a heavy user. Pretty well everyone uses FPGA, so that's a kind of a good standard. Usually the people that come out for FPGA that get hired for FPGA are the electrical engineers coming out of electrical engineering, so they end up in those kind of roles with FPGA. I don't know your education if that's the case, but usually that's a big option for them. So FPGA is very useful, but it's a totally different world from C++ coding to FPGA. I've kind of looked at it with a dev studio that they have. Let me tell you, it's very different. But I think they're trying to improve it to kind of treat it like an IDE with the dev studio, and then have the board burnt for all the strategy. And I have no idea on the data feed how that integrates. This is a whole black box to me. But I will say regarding AI, there is some AI out there that can code up FPGA code like Verilog or whatnot. So it's out there. I do believe. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Claude can do it. But in terms of quality, is another question if it works or not. Because years ago, when I was a heavy user of MATLAB, I loved the concept of MATLAB because MATLAB, with the Simulink integrated with FPGA and C++ with the code generation, it wasn't very friendly. It wasn't friendly in terms of the code itself. It was very close to looking like assembler. And even if you use metaprogramming with C++, that's similar. And the other thing is when it came to I'm just randomly saying here, somebody asked about C++ with Rhythmic. Yeah, the Python code is the same. That will look the same for the API, Python API using Rhythmic. So that's what I'm saying. It's better to use C# with that if you are kind of new to programming and want to work with an API for Rhythmic. So C# is what I recommend. But FPGA, a whole nother world. I'm still trying to understand the integration between FPGA and the C++, because I've seen some of the AI results saying that they are kind of merged somehow, and I'm still really trying to wrap my head around it. But right now, I'm trying to focus on C++ now because there's way more jobs in C++ for these types of roles in C++, and they're very lucrative. I think AI is changing everything, which it is, and I know that based upon the WhatsApp group I just joined a few weeks ago. So yeah, everybody in that group is following. Seems like using the same path that I'm doing, where everybody says the same thing. Opus, Claude 4.5, only that. So what I'm saying is no different than what the pros are using now. That's what I'm saying and seeing. So over time, I think many firms will use AI and the latest whatever Claude to do all this, even in the HFT shops, I think. So it's all going to change. Who knows? But FPGA is an important part of the whole infrastructure. But the way I'm seeing it, this is my own personal opinion with AI, and if you can know how to prompt for highly optimized C++ code, you can definitely get it. And especially some of the more advanced Chinese AI LLMs that can do it, like, as I said, DeepSeek comes from that world. Yeah, so DeepSeek's one example, or Quen as another example. So I'm not sure if that helps you out. If you guys got questions, hour and a half, this is fine. 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. But go ahead if you guys got questions. I don't know if I missed any questions. Yeah, I think we're going at a good pace. Oh, we got Eric here. Hello, Eric. Hi. Don't know how to code. I use MotoWave and have a code friend wrote that I need to get into MotoWave. Do you have a video on the process? Here's the thing with MotoWave. I haven't really seen it yet. Let's say late last summer, I tried to use AI to use with the MotoWave SDK. There's not enough users on MotoWave, not enough users to post MotoWave code using their SDK for the LLMs to pick up on, use as a data source. That's why you can do a lot of things with MetaTrader and TradingView, because it's a lot of code out there in the public domain. But that's the problem with MotoWave. So unfortunately, there's no real process I can recommend. Let me think here. The one thing I will say about MotoWave, because just so people know, it's Java. One thing, it is an issue. I understand that. But again, if you don't know how to code, that's going to be an issue in itself. So the question becomes, where do you want to go? What are you trying to do? MotoWave is a great platform, but the SDK is very good. If you're an accomplished a Java user, definitely I can go that way. Just update the question, Eric. Let me know if you're willing to learn something like Python or something. I could probably give you another path. Let me just ask, okay, awesome. I'm an FPGA engineer, but at aerospace firm, but thanks for the info. Yeah, way more C++ rules, so I am thinking to learn, but I know the competition is crazy. The competition is not as crazy as it seems. If you know how to capture the right audience, more the senior management, senior programming leads, and you can do that via LinkedIn. But you have to build a profile on GitHub, build yourself up as a brand. That's what I keep saying as well. Now, I don't know, Eric, if you have a follow-up question, but regarding MotiveWave and no coding, there's the usual vibe coding approach. Okay, so hold on. Here we got, he wrote it in Java and it's on Notepad, but I guess the process is a bit beyond me. Okay, you know what? I can give you a suggestion. This is the cool thing. If you have access to Claude, what you can do is a prompt. This is a really easy one. Go into, now the question is, do you own the Java code? If you own the Java code, what you could do, which I do all the time now, and kind of reverse engineer it as a non-coder, I don't know if this can kind of help you. But what you can do is you can upload the code and just ask, and this will only work on Claude, the latest version, Opus. What I would do is load up the Java code itself and just ask for a coding breakdown. Just say in the prompt, give me a coding breakdown on the attached code, and attach the Java code, the Java file, and just press send, and you'll get an awesome output. And it will tell you what it's doing, line by line, and it's very good. Yeah, that's the best way I can recommend. If you're willing to learn it, that's another way to learn coding, is just upload this code and just ask for a coding breakdown. Yeah, try that. No problem, Eric. Back to Limitless. Did you work at a quant firm? If so, how many years? The closest I got to a coding firm, or sorry, a trading, well, I've worked in a couple of banks that shall be named nameless, because what happens is there's idiots on YouTube and just the internet that will go out and be just complete a-holes about it. Oh, but you said this and said that. So I have worked in capital firms and banks for a couple of years. I've worked with a pension plan as well, a big one. I worked on the side as a contractor, but nothing to do with trading, more documentation. But I did get exposed to that firm. That was not very long. I've worked in the banking, exposed to it, we'll say 3-4 years. But my corporate career is not very long. And the reason is because I hated it. So I do self-employment. But I kind of pretty well, my LinkedIn profile, it shows nothing. And there's a reason for that, because people are just like, you think the trolls are bad on YouTube, you can imagine what they do with a LinkedIn profile. They can just be beyond fierce. I just don't recommend. The less people know about you, the better. That's pretty well the only, I hate saying that. And if people want to know you, the best thing, especially when it comes to trading, is, well, the standard at some point will be having a third-party verified trading account from a retail trading perspective. But there's still a-holes about it. But they don't want to pay for whatever. In terms of my strategy, or let me think here how to phrase it. My future is to work with the big trading firms. So as I've said last week, and earlier in the stream, I've said how to approach it via LinkedIn to build a relationship, we'll call it, and then start a conversation with people. I mentioned this stream already. So my programming membership is targeted for those people. And to be truthful, the only way you get verified by these firms, it's very expensive. There's two ways. I've been doing this for 15 years, so I've talked to the people that have set the standards on this. The two things that banks, hedge funds, family offices will look for, legit ones that pay well, one thing they'll look for is your trading process, how your trading activity is. The trading record via a broker will not help. There's one way to get around that is going to one of the big four consulting firms like PwC and getting your whole process and your trading audited. Last I heard, I mean, it's years ago, that's a $70,000 cost. And then that's verified and audited and confirmed by whatever consulting firm you go with. So the banks will clearly use that. And another way they go about trading is they don't really care about your trading account. What they care about is getting it from the clearinghouse itself. Okay, that's through stock trading. Now with futures trading to verify it for firms, they could probably be good enough to go with your FCM, because your FCM is not going to lie on your in your track record. So you provide that, and that verifies everything: who you are, your address, and your actual trading. So I'm hoping that's good enough. But if not, I may have to spend some good cash to kind of get their attention. So, yeah, Zane's got a good question. I'll let people answer that himself. Very good question. Anybody got any interesting questions? I mean, that is an interesting question, but on the topic of, we've been talking a lot of C++. But in terms of, Limitless asks, of course, appreciate all your help. Good luck on your goal. Thank you. As I said, I'm trying to stay away from regulators, but for me, I'm not really interested going through the US anymore. It's just too much work. Because you have to deal with the SEC, you have to deal with the CFTC, you have to deal with, there's another futures commissioner that you have to deal with. Like there's some that will become registered CTA, but that's not gonna be good enough if you want to go after the big multi-billion-dollar operations. They have much higher expectations out of people. So that's based upon my experience, is that if I'm spending $70,000 to get an audit done on my whole workflow trading to show legitimacy, do you think I'm going to be charging $10,000 even for what I do? There's going to be a minimum cost, like a big one, because like there's a big investment to get through that. There's other ways to get around that as well. If you're setting up a trading operation, you can set up limited partnerships as well, so you can avoid that. But usually, from what I've seen, the minimum investment would be at least 10, 15, 20 million pounds. Again, that's the route I'm going through the UK. Yeah, this is not the cheap, like the poor people, the poor people's way. This is real institutional level. There's all these fake family offices saying they have this and that, and it's all, I test for this to see if they're legitimate contacts, and 99% of them are not legitimate. The only way to get the attention is, like, for example, if you're serious, you go through a Switzerland and get among the private real family funds, and the only way to get through that is through a UBS or a Julius Baer. And then once you're on their good boy list, then you get privately recommended to the big firm, family firms, because they're secret. It's got to be legit. Thanks for, Brian asked, what's my business model? Do you want to invest in your engine license? That's a good question, Brian. I'm more interested just show profit, consistent profit, a consistent trading potential, and a verified track record via one of the trading journals like TraderSync or even my FCM profile report. So once I get there, usually what will happen is via these videos and LinkedIn, the big firms will come out and hunt you down. That I can assess and say that's how it works. Suraj, hello. L. Horny, are you a programmer? I've been doing this for 15 years. I'll let you decide. What is a programmer is my question. I am a renewable, and oh yes, I remember, I'm a renewable energy graduate and really feel stuck. Can't find a job. Welcome to the real world. I've addressed that many times. I'm a big believer in not repeating my content. If you're trying to get into coding and get one of these big jobs, yeah, you better know how to brand yourself, because there's going to be probably 5,000 people in front of you, on top of a lot of them will have Ivy League, PhD level. Some will have even CFAs. And on top of, like I got one 18-year-old, he's built his LinkedIn profile with 30,000 people. And yes, he's getting a lot of attention. He's not even gone to university yet, but he's already had his career pretty well defined by his LinkedIn profile and his hustling with the quant firms. And he's got an incredible list of followers on LinkedIn. I know because I've been watching another person as well out of Spain. So there are ways, but there's hundreds of people doing that now. Okay, I feel like one of the big firms that is starting a 3-year process to build a new options engine. I think for you, Brian, I think that is a very, very, very good business model. And with AI, what makes it better is you can have it run on your server and then just build out what I would do. And I've thought about this. Is build out a web front, like a web framework front, or maybe API endpoints that these firms connect into via, using Python, whatever, and just provide that endpoint through an API using, I don't know, Django or whatnot, or Flask is better, and then just charge for that. That's an excellent business model, and then just do it a trading engine. I mean, if you're going to involve a trading engine that's connecting to a broker, do realize you will need to be registered and regulated. That's why I kind of like, do I really want to go down this path? And it's a huge liability as well. So think twice on it. It's very lucrative, but you have to understand there is a liability concern as well. Even saying, oh, I'm going to buy Apple tomorrow, like that, you have to put some kind of declaration on that because you can be held liable for that. So be aware of it. The coding, all that's the easy part. It's the regulatory that's the real hassle. But again, you said options, right? Yeah. So it's heavily regulated. So yeah, I've been working on this with an API model from the beginning, but I might just sell the license if I can demonstrate the performance. Yeah, I mean, that's an approach I'm looking at as well. Like signal generation's fine. You don't have to worry about regulatory on that. It depends. Like once you start to do things like copy trading, then that's when the regulatory start to kick in. Like here in Ontario, I'd love to do copy trading, but because our commie government here, both federal and provincial, like I have to be registered as a copy trader, and it's like, no thanks, not worth it. And again, that's because of the, and then there's all the now trade with me and code with me. So there's liability there as well. But I do think the API with signaling is a good approach, but not copy trading because it's hard to kind of get a workaround for it. Right now, I just focus more on the education right now because it's easier. But the signal generation is a interesting path to go for revenue. If you have something that's consistent, you have a verification process for your trades, because that's important as well to show legitimacy. So that's something I could probably get away with as well. That might be in my near future for sure. Being strongly considered, I'll leave it at that. I don't know how many people we've got up to on the stream so far, but the last one I was really shocked that we had over 100 people over 3 hours that came in and out. I think the average is like 2 minutes. So people come in and they, he's too ugly, I'm moving on. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad to help here wherever people have questions or comments. I'll gladly answer. Yeah, we're back to 8 likes. Thank you. One was taken away because I call out probably a troll. They're interesting comedians. Yeah, but the thing is, the high frequency trading is there's huge demand for that, no doubt. So if you got questions or comments on whatever, let me know. I even talk about investing in trade. Oh, I'm live again. Yay. I got reconnected. Yeah, so let me know if you got any questions or comments. Oh, Brian's got to go. It's 2 a.m. here. Thanks for all the info. Out of curiosity, Brian, were you or out of UK? Yeah. I'm just so you know, Brian, I'm also born in the UK. So are you on my email list? Let me know. Let me know. And identify yourself that you're Brian, and then the two Brians could put two heads together. Let me know. Oh, you're in Ireland. Okay, similar time zone. Yeah, just get in touch with me. Go onto my website, quantlabsnet.com. In there, you'll see a Learn tab, and you get a free HFT book as well on infrastructure. So just sign up on that. And there's a way you can identify yourself, or just there's on the bottom right, there's a chat. You can do that, but I'd be interested to converse with you. You got some interesting ideas. I think down the line, if things go well for me, I might hire coders, real coders. But then it's just the resumes start flooding in like crazy. And Shui, I always get everyone's names wrong, especially if it's foreign. My apologies. Hello, and Shui. If you got questions, let me know. But yeah, I think the hiring is potential. I've had some interesting conversations with people in the last couple of weeks. I think once this thing comes out, the conversation is going to get more serious and much faster. You'll check out. I recently came across your channel. Yeah, please, send me an email or a chat or whatever. Just identify yourself, who you are here, and then I'll gladly follow up because, I like talking to people like that. Love from India. Appreciate that. India has become my number one traffic site in the last week or so. Usually it's US, but India has been a lot. And my LinkedIn group, which is now 11,000 people, I'd say 75% that come in every day now are from India. So I get lots of love, India. Hello, India. If you got questions or comments, let me know. Thanks for joining, Brian. Anyone else that's in and out, usual. This stream will be live. And just so everybody knows, I do use, once again, AI to create all my shorts. So there'll be a whole slew of shorts coming out. My last stream I did, I think 3 days worth. And they were somewhat okay received. So if you got comments or questions, let me know. I'll have some shorts being created on my last video, and I could put up a lot of videos right now, but I just think that these things overwhelm people. I do have a Substack as well, and stuff. Question came up when are you coming to India, sir? Well, sir, I will be traveling this year. That's, as I said earlier, I will be heading to Panama. I will be shortly after that doing a grand tour of Asia, Southeast Asia. Big cities being obviously Dubai, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Bangkok. Still kind of wondering about Thailand itself. So there will be traveling involved. And people go, why? Well, come to Canada and find out. And you'll know quickly. There's just I'm going to be honest, there's no opportunities here anymore in Toronto, Canada. But I do see the opportunities in London, UK, regardless of the status of UK. But there's still, two countries that are still top dog at entrepreneurship, which I love, is US and UK. But London, UK, from the trading perspective, wow, there's so much opportunity there. Yes, I am born in Britain. That's for some of that country. Yeah, I have a British passport. I was made there. I was made in England. As I say, I came over when I was 1 to Toronto, Canada, and that's why I have the AA Canada accent. But Canada is just, I think it's peaked. It's been in decline for a couple of years now, especially our city here. It's gotten very expensive. The tax is too high. The weather's always sucked. That's not going to change. Our political system, blah, 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 blah. I could go on about it. But that's why I'm looking. I did go to England a while back, but I don't know. Right now it's kind of like not in a great shape. Switzerland's another option I'm looking at as well, but hey, I don't have the big money to afford Switzerland. It's not cheap in Switzerland. That's a for sure thing. If I showed you the house for 300 Canadian, you'd be probably spending about 10 years remodeling it. It's nothing but stone home and some village in the Alpines, the Swiss Alps, and you have to renovate. Anyways, we're dropping because we're off topic here. Who's got questions? You guys got questions on investments, trading? We cover a lot on the C++, on the HFT stuff tonight, very specific. I'll probably do the same next week on the same topic because there is a lot there. Once I'm hoping to get this new trading stuff, the files, what I've been talking about, C++. Once I get that posted, I'm sure there'll be a lot of conversation will come out of that because it's all market making, Bitcoin, and ultra low latency when people get access to it. We're dropping off a lot of people here. Appreciate the likes. Who's here still? Anybody? I don't like calling out people. They don't need to identify themselves. I just appreciate them being here. Or you can rely on the shorts when they come out. Anybody? I mean, 2 hours is pretty long. 3 hours? Don't know. I'll be doing it next week, but it might be different now because I have Streamlabs where I can stream on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, and what's the Amazon one for gamers? I can't remember. Anyways, Twitch. Nobody watches Twitch. Not my crowd, at least. Oh, we got one more person. Yay. Who's got questions, comments on trading, high-frequency trading, whatnot? So if you're on my list, quantlabsnet.com is the place to go. There's numerous options. I give away a free C++ book, infrastructure book on that. Yeah, our numbers are dropped. I don't know if we're end of line on this stream. So maybe I should do that and get my new website ready for y'all and this new coding thing to be launched soon. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm really excited with this one. Thanks for the likes. Appreciate it. Let's see. Anybody out there? People have stayed up all night for me on Ireland. That's pretty cool. And India as well. I don't know the time in India. What time would it be? It's 2 hours, 9 o'clock. So I'm going to assume it's, I don't know, is it 9 hours ahead of India from New York time? I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter. But I should find out. Anybody got questions or comments? If not, I'm just going to shut her down for tonight. 2 hours is pretty good. So I'll do a going once through 3 times. Once we get there, no questions, I'll just assume nobody's interested, and I'll shut her down. So I'll do a going once, going twice. Yeah, going 3 times. I guess we're done. Okay, I'll call it. 2 hours is pretty good. Anyways, have a good night, guys and ladies, and I'll say good night, ladies and germs. Over and out. Thanks for watching. Have yourselves a good day. Be on the lookout for the new website. Bye-bye.